Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Force here, going to be commentating a series for you today between IM's MVP and Slayer's Cella. So we can see right now we've got MVP spawning in the lower right-handed position here in Tal'Darim Altar, and in the upper right is Slayer's Cella, who I will be referring to as Cella for the rest of the game as the blue Zerg player. So yes, Terran versus Zerg. This is going to be a series between these two players, and we're starting things off here on Tal'Darim Altar. So let's just keep an eye as to what is going on. I'm going to be commentating this series for you today. I believe I am also going to be doing some team games. I think I should be able to sneak in one or two, and then going to be throwing out some of those wonderful strategy videos as well. So beautiful, beautiful day indeed. We're gonna have to keep an eye as to what we are going to see Cella do this game in terms of whether or not he's going to be going for hatch first, or if he will be opening up with pool extractor. Both of which, of course, going to be viable openings. It's really going to depend on how hard we're going to see Cella focus on his economy and how comfortable he is feeling against MVP in terms of any possible early aggression. MVP just now finishing up that initial supply depot. We'll be coming up immediately with that Rax, and again, let's keep an eye on that refinery timing when and if that does come down. Do, of course, want to figure out whether or not he's planning on going for a fast expand build or if he's going to be playing a little more standard in his initial opening. So let's take a look back over here. We're just about getting to the time right now that we're going to be seeing Cella go for that expansion or drop his pool, and it looks like he will, in fact, be expanding right now. So moving down there with that drone, dropping that 15 hatch, and then he'll be following that up immediately with that spawning pool. It looks like over in MVP's base, we do have that refinery coming through, so relatively normal opening thus far. Nothing too odd. He did go, of course, depot racks right into refinery there, as opposed to deeper refinery racks or any other variation of that. Fully saturating that refinery right now. Second SCV moving out. This looks to be the scouting SCV, but no, actually finally heading back. Deciding against moving out with that scouting SCV and decided instead to just use the one that had just finished that barracks, and we'll be using that to move out with that initial scout. It looks like he will actually be immediately heading up to that upper right position, so he will be scouting out Cella right away. Back over here, we can see Extractor is coming through right now for Cella. He does have that spawning pool about halfway through there, and as soon as that finishes, we do expect to see a first few Zerglings as well as that initial queen there as well. So there we go, pretty standard stuff so far here, and there we go, MVP scouting out Cella. Knows exactly where he is. More importantly, he knows that that fast expansion did come out, and immediately, no qualms about it, dropping down that bunker. And this is something at the moment that Cella is fully aware of. You can see he is spawning it. Going to be coming down with these three workers. It's a very nice positioning, though, for MVP. Very hard for these workers to get a full surround. A wedge right in between the hatchery as well as that Vespene guys. And look at that. The SCV hasn't taken any damage. These drones going straight to work on the bunker itself. MVP is going to finish the building of this. Going to be trying to prevent that Marine from getting in, but managing to micro around, and there we go. Very nice micro there by Cella, preventing that first Marine from getting in the bunker. And right now, MVP really not standing much of a chance with this. He does have a second Marine coming up. We're going to see some repair going down, and attempting to move down as well, but we do get one Marine inside of the bunker. MVP managing to sneak his way in there. Will be doing a little bit of damage. We've got that SCV repairing. I do not know why Cella isn't targeting that. There we go, finally targeting down that SCV that is attempting that repair. Now it looks like there will be enough DPS here from Cella to finish that off. We've got the Queen popping up there as well. MVP doing as much damage as possible. We microing back with that Marine. Maybe trying to get a few more shots off. No, never mind. He's just moving straight up for the scout. And there we go. Finally turning to engage that Zergling, but additional Zerglings moving down. And that will be enough to mop up this Marine. Finally, MVP managing to do a little bit of damage. One big thing was he delayed mining for quite a while, so that certainly helped him out. And as such, hurt Cella in the return. So we can see right now, factory pumping out those double Hellions. We've got that reactor attached right to that. We have a tech lab coming down on the racks. We'll be following up with that command center. So moving up with a strong Hellion opening against a map control early on, and then we'll be going right into his expansion. Hellions will be moving on up right now. Let's see if they're going to be able to do much damage. It looks like they've got a great opportunity because at the moment, Cella does not have a spine crawl up. Now, he does have the Queen. That is his best defense at the moment right now until he gets some more Zerglings on play. There we go. Queen moving down. We got a couple shots off, but MVP able to freely move up, and he will be getting some damage done. Certainly does not want to attack that Extractor. Go straight for those workers there. Already one worker down. Let's see if he gets any more. Kind of a little miss micro there. Finally managing to sneak his way on through. Should be getting a couple more shots. Should really have no problem with those Zerglings. They are Speedlings right now. Metabolic boost just coming in. Needs to micro back that one low Hellion, and doing quite a bit of damage right now. MVP with some pretty impressive initial Hellion harass. Now, certainly much more effective if he could have gotten a third Hellion in there. Would have allowed him to one-shot those Zerglings as well as those workers. Unfortunately, though, those additional Hellions were parked back home. We'd have MVP rallied up with 4 Hellions, then transferring over his racks onto that reactor. We'll be pumping out those double Marines and then likely working his way into tanks. It's either that or Infernal Pre-Igniter Hellions. It looks like tanks will be the name of the game here, though, for MVP. Coming out as well with an additional couple of racks here. So, obviously, going to be going into Marine tank here. That is MVP's plan. We've got some Zerglings streaming right on in MVP's base. MVP not raising those depots in time, and the Zerglings will be doing quite a bit of damage. Hellions back there at that Zelnagatar are going to be forced to pull back right now. We've got a couple Marines to help deal with this, but MVP actually taking a little bit of losses there from those initial Zerglings. Let's take a quick look here at the total number of workers killed. They're about even right now. Cella managing to kill off 6 SCVs total so far, and we can see MVP with a managing to kill off 7 total drones. Back over here inside of Cella's main, or natural expansion rather, we can see finally getting some Hellion defense there. We get that one spine crawler situated right in the back there. We've got a couple queens right up front as well as that one here in the main. So sitting a total of 3 queens, and he's actually got a 4th coming on through as well. A 4th coming through that main. We do have that Roach Warren coming out. Of course, as we already knew, that metabolic boost is done. Now MVP moving back to the middle of the map, grabbing the Zelnagatar, and then he will be moving out to do a little bit of damage. So let's see how much he is able to do. We've got 2 queens situated right back here, and those Hellions do have a great opportunity to actually sneak right up now inside of the main and do quite a bit of damage, avoiding those queens. We'll be moving the backside, and he'll actually be walking right by that spine crawler. Need to be careful. He's doing quite a bit of damage right now. Pulling back to avoid and sneaking by all 4 queens. And MVP with these Hellions has a tremendous opportunity right now. We've got 20 Zerglings about to pop. Let's see how many worker kills he can get, though. Going to be microing around. And we do have Cella trying not to clump up those workers, chasing down those Hellions with his queens. There we go. Zerglings finally coming into play. We'll be getting us around with the queens and finally killing off the Hellions. But not before MVP had done a bit of damage. In terms of resources lost, they are about even right now, with Cella being a little bit behind. Let's take a look at the workers killed, now totaling 14 workers killed for MVP. Managed to sneak 7 more kills in that engagement there. Would have stim pack research coming out. Tank production continuous right now. The siege research has been finished. And again, Marine tank is going to be the name of the game here for MVP. Coming out with some sort of a wall here. Again, just trying to prevent speedlings from sneaking right on into the base. Then we'll be using the tank and Marines to try to defend against the rest. We've got a big grouping of speedlings situated over here. They will be scouting out for that possible 3rd of MVP. And then likely possibly pushing in just to test the waters. We'll have to be wary of that tank fire, however. Now back over here for Cella, we can see Layer Tech is coming on through, finally starting to spread some of that creep, get that across the map, give himself some vision, and of course that increased speed. And there we go again, continuing up that wall here. MVP doing the best that he can to try to prevent those Zerglings from being able to do too much damage and just running rampant inside of the main and natural. And there we go, continuing up that creep spread. So what are we seeing over here for Cella? Transition is going to be into some Banelings here. He does again have that Roach Warren up. I do expect the Roach Speed to come on through once that layer does finish. Wouldn't be all that surprised if we saw some Roach Speedling Baneling play and then eventually going into Infestor play as well. That certainly tends to be very strong, something I am seeing a lot of lately. MVP finally working his way into an additional refinery. That is going to help him support the starport that is up. And wouldn't be all that surprised if we saw a reactor on that as well, allowing him to pump out those double medevacs and then later in the game get double Vikings just in case he does have to deal with any possible Broodlords, and we may be seeing late game from Cella. Spire coming up here as well for Cella. So Cella will be working his way into a little bit of air tech. I do want to take a look to see if he drops that infestation pit anytime soon. Again, Infestor is very strong in this matchup, especially against a Marine heavy composition. Now we do have one medevac filled with Marines. Stim pack is just about to finish right now, so MVP will be trying to do a Stim Marine drop and do quite a bit of damage. It certainly has that opportunity, especially if you can get those Marines on the ground unscouted. Now, good job here by Cella, spreading creep all throughout his base. This is going to allow him to see wherever MVP drops these Marines. Looks like he will be attempting the natural, but no, deciding against it, spotting those Zerglings as well as that Queen, and it's going to be dropping a little bit in the main, providing himself a little bit of breathing room here. Should be lifting up as those Zerglings move furthest around. Unfortunately, did manage to lose that one Marine. A little bit surprised he didn't actually drop on the low ground and try to get just a couple of free Zergling kills there while they were sitting right on the edge. Even 1 or 2 kills kind of would have been worth it. Decided instead, though, to pull back his medevac for fear of losing it and taking additional damage from the Queen that was sitting over there. Now we do have a push moving across the map right now for MVP at the same time. Zerglings moving to try to attack MVP's natural expansion. We do have this wall up and no units on the backside here to defend and help prevent them from doing damage. Should be seeing some mass repair. And here we go, scan going down, allowing him to shoot that spine crawl to the high ground. Also getting rid of some of these creep tumors and should start shelling and laying waste here on that resource line. Zerglings continue to try to do what they can, but finally reinforcing reinforcements from MVP, plus the repair is going to be enough to defend and make sure he needs to actually get that there. Dropping up on the high ground, we got Marines trying to protect the tanks against any possible mutas. Speed and Banes rolling up the downside, and we'll be getting a full surround on those tanks, and look at the massive amount of damage. We're seeing a nice spread of that siege fire, though, plus those Marines in the back, and we still have those Marines in the high ground, killing off another queen and continuing to go to town here on the resource line. Some more Marines will be dropped up into the high ground. MVP repositioning those tanks, and MVP sitting in a very strong position, doing quite a bit of damage. Now again, Cella has yet to expand into his third, so losing his natural is actually a very huge deal right now. We'd have 6 mutas coming out, and they will be used to swoop up the backside and attempt to take out those tanks while there's not enough Marine fire protecting them. However, we are seeing some reinforcements, and that should be enough Marines to deal with the amount of mutas that are coming out right now. Banelings, though, rolling into the Marines that are there, and these mutas should start to mop up these tanks. There we go. Marines are stimming forward and trying to assist that last tank, managing to shoot it away at the very last moment. Tank surviving with just 2 hit points left. That should get taken care of very quickly, though. Mutas swooping in, getting the last HP of that tank, and there we go. We've got another tank setting up here on the low ground, fanning out with those Marines. And again, the whole deal here is to try to protect the tanks against those mutas as they attempt to engage them. But I don't know how much this is really going to help, because unfortunately right now Cella does not have a ton. We are seeing continuous reinforcements from MVP. The biggest thing right now, though, is that Cella has taken quite a bit of losses. 22 total workers killed so far this game. Take a look at the resources lost. Cella is quite a bit behind. We are seeing some attempted counter aggression here from Cella. However, he does only have 4 mutas. Don't really know how much damage he expects to do. Should be getting a few free SCV kills. But again, at the exact same time, we've got MVP continuing to drop up here in the natural. And once more, keep in mind, Cella is just on these 2 bases, picking up the Marines just in the nick of time. Siege fire continuing to lay waste here. Marines protecting against that 1 muta, and there we go. And actually, we are just going to see Cella call the good game. MVP opened up this game with some Marine bunker harass. Now, due to some nice placement, he was able to get up that bunker. Unfortunately, though, his Marine did get surrounded before he could make his way on in. MVP was able to get his 2nd Marine in the bunker, plus some repairs, allowed him to do a little bit of damage, killing off a few workers as well as Zerglings. Now, he was losing resources in the repairs and eventually did become overwhelmed. MVP then worked his way into some Hellion harass and an expansion. Now, with those initial Hellions, he was able to sneak them up into the main base and kill off a few of Cella's workers. Cella pushed out with a small counterattack, and due to MVP's negligence in leaving those depots lowered, unfortunately did take a little bit of losses, losing a few SCVs when he turned to engage. MVP then dropped his expansion at his natural, worked his way into Marine tank, and pushed out with 4 Hellion harass. And with this, he was actually able to do quite a bit of damage, completely circumventing the early game queens, dealing first a bit of damage to the natural expansion, and then working his way right up into the main and killing off even more workers. With a strong early game economic advantage, MVP worked up his forces, got a heavy Marine tank ground force, and then pushed out right up onto the natural expansion of Cella. Setting up shop down here, he was able to do quite a bit of damage to the resource line, stop a whole bunch of mining, and eventually force the GG. Alright guys, thank you for watching. This was game number 1 here in the series between MVP and Cella. We will be moving on to game number 2 in just one moment. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and keep owning.